Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer number 5000-454-652. This is a plain bearing 5-knuckle full mortise standard weight steel based 4.5 by 4 removable pin satin chrome hinge. That's quite a lot. Let's go over this hinge. First of all, let's dissect the part number. 5000 means a variety of things. It means that it is a 5-knuckle hinge. Okay, it means it's full mortise. You can see from the swag on the hinge leaves that when they are brought parallel, they're intended to be mortised flush to the edge of the door and frame. It also means that it's a standard weight hinge. That leaf is 134 thousandths thick. It means it's plain bearing. Okay, no ball bearings. If you wanted ball bearings, which are really always a good idea, but if you wanted ball bearing, you'd make it a BB 5000. Okay. Means it's a steel-based hinge as well. We'll get to that more in a moment. The 454 is the size. That means it's 4.5 inches tall and 4 inches wide. Okay, a bit less common than the 4.5 by 4.5, but nonetheless, there are a lot of doors that will call out for a 4.5 by 4. I see this on aluminum frames very often, where it's a 4.5 by 4. Although in that case, sometimes a radius corner would be called out as well. Now the 652 in the part number means two things. It means that it's steel based and that it's satin chrome. So it's a satin chrome plating over steel base. It's a removable pin hinge, meaning that pin with the button tip, if you use your imagination, it looks like a button, is easily removed, just driving that out from the bottom. Tip options are decorative. Ball tip is the most common decorative tip. Urn tip, steeple tip, acorn tip. Security options would be a non-removable pin where they would drill and tap a hole into the knuckle. A slot or a groove would be cut in the pin so that when you seated it and tightened the set screw down, you would not really realistically be able to drive that pin out. It's all but impossible to drive that pin out. I've tried. It's all but impossible. Other options like security studs can be done on that as well. Okay. Screw holes are in what's called a template pattern. There is a link below this video to what's called the cut sheet, which shows you everything important dimensionally about those screw holes. And speaking of them, screws are going to be included in a complementary finish. You're typically going to get all metal screws and half wood screws. This package has 8 of each, so you're going to get all wood and all metal screws. Okay. Now, that link to the cut sheet is important to know, to review, because it shows other options that you can get with this hinge in terms of the base material, the bearing options, and the knuckle options. Let's go over it. So in the steel column, you've got 5000, then you've got the 5010 below it. That's a wide throw hinge. So a 5010 would be like a 4.5 by 5, or 6, or 7, etc. The 8000 is the same hinge as this, except that it's a 3-knuckle hinge. Very common sort of hinge used in applications where an architect doesn't want to see the regular 5-knuckle sort of hinge, a little bit cleaner look. The 8010, same thing, 3-knuckle and a wide throw. BB 5000, BB 5010. Ball bearing options. The LB on the 8000 and 8010 would be a ball bearing, but it's called lube bearing. It's a concealed sort of bearing construction that you'd get from Bommer. Next column over, that 0, the last 0 in 5000 changes to a 1. And all that means is that your base material is going to be brass or bronze, depending on the finish. Your bronzes, your satins, your antiques, your oil rubbed would be made on solid bronze. Your brasses, your chromes, your nickels, that would all be made on solid brass. One column over again, that number changes to 2. That means the base material is stainless, and you're going to get that in either satin finish or polished finish, is how that would come. Then you've got a reference to what they're giving here in terms of the size of the hinge, the A dimension, depending on the size of the hinge. 4.5 by 4, you've got your 4.5, 4.5, your wide throw hinges after that as well. Bommer is a comprehensive manufacturer of all things hinge related. Not only architectural full mortise hinge items like this, but continuous geared aluminum hinges. Double acting hinges are what they're most commonly known for, their 3029 series. The last thing I'd like to point out to you is the Bommer logo, and right above it, it says Made in USA, a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. Any questions on the Bommer 5000, 454-652 hinge or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us.